This recording, whatever we're going to call it, program, is actually pretty good. However, I'm still working out some bugs, so the audio should hopefully be substantively better than the last one, but you guys will let me know. So just put it in the comments below. Yes, there was a bit of an echo with the last one. Okay, let us get right to it. I'm still deciding where to go with this commentary. I will probably just do summation because I'm at 16% power. So no dry begging, but help if you can. Even just dropping a like or subscribing to the other channels, especially the Kubrick channel, because technically this channel is still in danger, but I think in a couple of days, not literally a few days, not like Wednesday, but more or less in a week or so, the crisis should be over. Okay, so let's get to it. Let me try to give from Nora's perspective, and for those just dropping in, Nora is a, well, problematic, lesbian, gay activist. I don't even call her anti-Scientologist, but she's an activist. And she and Aaron, a massive YouTuber who covers Scientology, also not really anti-Scientologist, and they had a conversation together after, for months and months, going to war. That is not a metaphor. They were doing very extremely hostile videos against one another for a long time. And earlier this year, Aaron's lover, he's still married by the way, put out a series of videos that shocked and polarized the community. And we're going to put aside the community because apparently the definition of that is all over the place. But I think it's fair to say it polarized people. And the vast majority were on genocide and very suspicious of Aaron. More research that Jenna and Aaron have reconciled. And Nora, very recently, this is not ancient history, this is just a while ago, declared she will no longer talk about Aaron. The name of Aaron will be banned from her channel. She's working with her mods to no more Aaron, no more covering Aaron, no more videos on Aaron. So out of nowhere, she does this conversation with Aaron. So from her point of view, again, let me be clear, I'm not a fan of Nora, I don't like her, but this is her point of view. So she did it for several reasons. I'm not even getting into her crying post conversation. In the conversation, she says to Aaron, I'm doing this because I feel there's a common fight. We should be able to work together in that common fight against Scientology. That's the idealistic reason. But she did get more personal, and she said, listen, I think these were my feelings and reactions to what you were doing. I think these were legitimate feelings. I apologize if I went too far, and I take back a lot of what I did in those videos. However, I do think there was a reason to do it. And Aaron was yelling and screaming at her a lot. But I will be fair, there were moments and times where he was calm. They were more relaxed. They were joking with one another. They were having a lot of fun. And it seemed basically no different from the other videos when they were in a better place. So from her perspective, this is about finding closure, because she did emphasize several times, she's not saying that they're friends again or whatever, but she's trying to find a kind of, I guess, mutual peace where she can help Aaron when it's possible to fight Scientology, and hopefully Aaron can do the same with her, so on and so forth. And Aaron's stance, as far as I can tell, will be he will not be saying anything about anyone, but if they talk about him or his foundation, and he said my foundation, he made very clear, my foundation, if they talk about me, my foundation, or my friends, he will feel obligated to fight back. Okay, all right, and there we are. I also want to emphasize that apparently they made several stipulations before speaking, which they said at the very beginning, saying, we're not going to talk about Jenna, we're not going to talk about Heather, his wife, or other controversies. So certain things were marked off from the conversation. Now, they didn't obey that rule. In fact, Aaron got a little angry when Nora referenced Jenna, and he was very angry. But for the most part, they did obey the rule, but sometimes they violated, and Aaron violated on his side by bringing up Nora's videos, and they kind of said, like, we're going to treat certain things off the table, but he still went back to it. Especially DOA. He was very hard going back to DOA and challenging Nora, saying, DOA has made these videos. Why aren't you denouncing him? So on and so forth. And there you go. So that's the basic gist, that Nora feels that she's trying to find a way to move beyond hating Aaron and move her channel into, I guess you want to say, a more productive activist phase. And she's agreeing with Aaron that we should be putting aside a lot of these issues. So I will do much more thorough commentaries and breakdowns, but I gotta say, this is just damn confusing, because there were so many shocking things that she said. I can't even get through all of them, but let me just hit one or two or three of them. At one moment, she said, I don't think Scientology is a cult. I am not lying. I will try to recover the exact quote at the exact time. But she said, Scientology is not a cult. For her, it's a MLM. It's just a marketing scheme using the guise of religion, but it's not even a cult, which makes no sense because she says, I'm covering cults like Scientology on my channel and the high control groups. I'm like, huh? That was very confusing. Okay, there's that. She also made some other really questionable, weird statements that she agreed with Aaron's framework that these were personal issues. Okay, well, that can't be right because you were saying he's committing criminal activities. Now, they went through some things and she's recognizing his foundation as a legitimate foundation. Well, was she lying? Was she distorting evidence? Was she giving misinformation? Or is she saying charity fraud is okay because he's doing it or they're reconciling it? So that was very confusing because there's still legitimate criticisms of his foundation. Now, I agree, and this is the dilemma, I was calling out Nora for making invalid criticisms. So is she saying even valid criticisms are not welcome? That was very confusing too. And at one moment she said, listen, I don't presume to examine you mentally, Aaron. That makes no sense. I lost count. I would say she did at the very least 5 to 6 videos where she explicitly labeled Aaron a narcissist. Narcissism is a mental condition. You literally, even in the title of your videos, presume to opine about his mentality. So what do you mean? Are you saying from a non-expert angle? Yeah, we know that. She's not an expert. She's not a psychologist. And I got to be very honest. Now, let me be clear. From my angle, where my research interests are strong, I cover many subjects. I know people get annoyed, but let me go through some of them. Fascism, modern history, philosophy of science, Greek philosophy. I cover many subjects. And I do cover a lot in psychology, but my main thing has been cognitive biases, messianism, cult thinking, so on and so forth, brainwashing, that kind of thing. But so it's cognitive biases and cognitive motivation and things like that. That's a separate field. I am getting into the narcissism literature. In fact, I did a lot during the winter when I was examining Heidegger and the Nazis, but that's neither here nor there. Well, whatever we're going to call narcissism, it is applying a mental label. But you're saying, I'm not going to examine you, Aaron, and please don't presume to examine me. But you did. So the conversation was just radically incoherent at so many points. I'm just like, putting aside she's contradicting her own content, or she's betraying people, or this is confusing for her audience. Put all that aside. I'm like, where are we going with this? So it's sort of like they're agreeing that let's not have a war anymore. And we'll just table many issues. Well, to quote an old song, you probably think this is about you. Well, I think this is Nora's problem. It's not just about her, right? I don't like Nora. I don't like a lot of her content. I think she's a liar. She's a grifter. She misleads people. She's victimized people. It's not a good person. However, I'm not a barbarian, nor am I a logical robot. I mean, there is a space for being like, well, life is complicated. I am not without sin, right? I'm no angel, never proclaimed myself to be one. I have my own issues, my own terrible past, and many terrible mistakes, which I should account for and reconcile. And believe me, I'm trying to do that. Just at the basic level, I'm not clear what we're getting out of this because you forgiving or absolving or moving is not relevant. If Jenna stated as a fact, he did this, as a fact, it happened, right? If he did, which he did, abuse, lie, cheat, steal from various people, and it's a long list, but let's give a short list, right? Mike Rinder, Nick, Lindsay, you Nora, right? You keep proclaiming he hurt you, he stole from you. You just go through the list. Jerry Armstrong, Doug Scott Kramer. It's a lot of people that Aaron victimized. I mean, I lost count. I mean, it's like roughly at least 10, 20, maybe 30 people. Now, you can't speak for them. So you being okay with Aaron today and being like, let's stop the war, which by the way, she revised herself in her post-conversation, ranting, crying nonsense. So it's like, it's all very confusing. But the basic gist, at least her intention was, let's move on. Let's find a neutral space where we can work together to fight Scientology. But I will end with one fact correction. That can't even be true because she's copyright striking a channel which is critical of Scientology. And she may get into a lawsuit with them. So it's like very, very confusing. Very, very confusing. The best I can say is I guess the threat of the lawsuit is problematic. And I do feel sorry for her because she is not a single mother. I was going to talk, well, I'm getting into my own biography, but I grew up with a single mother, and I don't think we were super poor, but we weren't living in like a rich household. It's a little complicated. So I do feel for her because she is trying to earn money for her children. Now, she's not super poor either. She's trying to make money on YouTube. I am trying to make money on YouTube. I understand all that. I think you can do that without collaborating with monsters. So I just think this conversation was radically misleading. It is a betrayal, mainly of her own audience, but hey, she's betraying other people too. It's just a very strange conversation, but that's the basic gist. So we will do more on this, and she's already revising what happened, so it's very confusing. So will some productive things happen due to this? Maybe, but I think the framework was very deceptive, and very alarming, in my humble opinion.